Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. and then I can control it from there. That gives everybody but Keith there, and so I think everybody else is good.
Okay.
So, okay, I think we're good. I'm gonna go print off one more of those board deals.
Okay.
Real quick. And then, is it just us?
For what?
I mean, is there anybody else coming that you know of, or is it just?
No, I think it, like
just
I said,
the
I think it
people
would
that are
just be
here?
like Jeff and Denny, and then
Okay.
broadcast
Are you
out
just
to
gonna
other
stay
people.
here and do it? Perfect.
But then I'll go back to my office for
Okay,
regular
that's
meetings.
not a problem. Okay, well, I was just gonna make sure I have the right place to do it.
Okay.
Okay.
And we've got storms coming. Big ones. Covered in red. Back to you. Somebody's in there, I haven't been over yet. Just let them know, I guess, that he's trying to get us streaming for safety.
Hey, Misty.
Somebody's in there. Yes.
Hey, we are streaming, but just if you'll wave at me, I'll unmute the conference room so that we're ready to go. Just let me know when you're ready, okay?
Okay, it shows blue, so it should go red, I assume?
We are streaming, but just if you'll wave
Yes.
at me.
But it's muted, I guess. Should be red when it's muted. I can see you talking, but I don't hear anything. Hello?
Oh,
How are you, Denny?
I know.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, if it's blue, it's on, but I can mute it from my side here. Does that make sense? So I can
Yes.
actually mute it, but whenever they go into like closed session, then they'll turn it red so that they know for a
Okay.
fact that it's mute. But I'll mute it
Okay.
now until it's time for us to start.
Okay, sounds
Okay,
good.
just wave at me when you're ready.
Okay, thank you. I was supposed to give the notice that we were streaming. So.
You are ready.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so our meeting tonight is just to satisfy the safety and security requirements that we have. One meeting in the fall, which we held in December, one in the spring semester, which is tonight, and then we'll have to hold one in the summer also. So just a short agenda for tonight. We are going to review the district emergency operations plan. I did not make copies of that. It's 88 pages long. So I just wanted to very briefly go over a few of the minor changes I had to make to satisfy safety audit requirements. So every 3 years we have a safety audit, and that we'll discuss also on here. But Ronnie Kincaid from Region 14 came last Tuesday and completed our safety audit. We don't have results in yet, but we did have a 100-question survey, I guess, to make sure that our plans and things met the requirements for the audit. And that's just a little bit of what I went over to make sure that our plan was in good shape. So it was very minor things. We had, I think Mr. Carter actually initially put the plan together a couple of years ago, but it was in very good shape. We had just a few minor things. One of the minor changes I made is that substitutes have to have full access to the buildings if there were to be an emergency. So one thing that we'd like to see put into place is when a substitute checks in the office in the morning, they'll pick up a set of keys so that if they were to take a class outside, they could get back in. Normally, substitutes don't ever have keys, but that would be just on a check-in, check-out basis. Our plan did not have, I just added to it that we use Crisis Go as a communication system for an emergency. That was a new addition this year, and it was not yet updated in our plan, so that being added to it was a minor change. I added a little bit of wording for things such as that our staff gets training annually on grief counseling and support for suicide. That is something our teachers have been getting, but it wasn't specifically listed out in there. And then, let's see, there was probably one other thing. Of course, it includes things like our drill logs. We were in good shape for everything. We had done drills in the fall. We did fire, bus evacuation, shelter in place for a storm, as well as a lockdown. So we had those. We would have done an off-campus evacuation this spring that we were not given the opportunity to do. We would also have repeated the same ones that we did in the fall. Normally there's a national tornado drill day, and we had not quite hit that yet. So of course we're right on top of storm season. So we try to make sure that's fresh on their minds in the spring. So that's all logged in there, as well as things such as I have lists for staff that has been trained in CPR, AED, stop the bleed. All of those things are also included, and we were in good shape on all of that. So, and then of course this year the safety and security team and the agendas and sign-ins and who's made up of those teams is in the safety plan also. So as far as our plans go, I believe that we were in excellent shape. We were able to circle yes to all 100 questions. The next thing on our agenda is the safety grant. That's something that Mr. Cook submitted to TEA. He worked with Eli on that to get that in. Our primary goal, it was a $25,000 grant that is available if they award the whole thing to us. Our primary goal with that, I believe, was fencing. So getting our playground secure on every end, and or really just our campus secure. So fencing in areas such as on the side of the playground this way, the side of the playground that way, areas such as between the football field and the turf room, just kind of closing off little gaps like that. So inside of the campus would be secure. We don't have results for that grant yet. Mr. Cook believes that we're supposed to receive notification by June 1st. So we're looking forward to finding out about that and hope we'll get that. And then as far as the safety audit goes, like I said, Ronnie came last Tuesday to complete that. So what that involves can involve a full policy review. It is a campus walk of every facility, inside, outside, gates, fences, barriers, buses, everything like that. And then normally in a regular school year, it includes an intruder check. So they want to see if they can gain access to the building and how long they're in the building before they're ushered to the office to check in, and what our check-in procedures and things like that are. That part, of course, we were not able to complete with no students here. So He did do full check of buildings. There are some minor things that need to be fixed. A few emergency exit lights out. And I know Eli we knew this was an audit year, so he checked that in the fall, I believe, and some of those things have probably gone down since. So because I know he worked on that list. We have a sign to update in our rooms that I wasn't aware was a requirement, so we'll get that added immediately. There are a few things like fire extinguishers that need to be mounted to walls, but they were present. First aid mounted to walls, but they were present. So I don't expect our audit to be negative, just a few minor things that we can fix, certainly. And then if there is anything more than minor, of course, we'll get those results and we'll have to report those to TEA. I'm not sure the timeline on that. That's something Mr. Cook will do. But that is really all I have. Do y'all have any questions or thoughts or anything?
When you, the little minor stuff that they do you have to report to them that you've corrected those, or do they come back and check that?
That's a good question. I don't believe, they don't come back and check it to my knowledge. I believe you just have to turn it in to TEA. But from the last one, I don't necessarily think there's a follow-up. You may have to turn in a plan for fixing them when you submit it to TEA. So that's a good question.
I know when Mr. Dixon was here, they would write us up for the shrubs that were around the building. They never had any intentions to remove the shrubs. But
right.
I think they had to be spacing them between the walls and so far below the ground, in other words, so no one could.
That it's the visibility, right. He didn't say anything about shrubs. Now he did say, and this is something I feel like we're going to have to address at some point because we were caught on the last one, the ground cover on the playground is not thick enough. And he wasn't sure that pea gravel was still considered an acceptable. I believe it is, but I know it is like in daycare standards. Of course, they're totally different
well, I know that
situations.
we're trying to do something, on that playground in the church, and that was one of the up the requirements. They had to be like an extremely thick, with gravel that we were trying to go to another product. That was at the church when we kind of put something at the bottom of it.
It's my understanding that they're wanting us to go more to like the rubber surfaces, the solid surfaces or something. Right. I know those are expensive. I don't know if that's something that will get written up, if that's something we can look at changing at some point or not. So when they tell us we have to do it, I think is probably a good time to do it. But I was telling that our surface on the playground is not thick enough. That's something he mentioned. So that's
oh, really?
It was mentioned in the last audit too. We weren't told at that point that it had to be changed, just that it wasn't thick enough. I know a fall zone for a playground is supposed to be, 6 to 8 inches deep. He didn't think that pea gravel was still a surface covering that we could use. He was going to check into that, but I anticipate that being something on our report. So anyway, do you know if the things that we don't meet on a safety requirement, if they have to be like when we submit that to TEA, what that looks like?
He hadn't sent it to me yet, so I'm not sure.
Yes.
Typically in past years, Mr. Posey, if it's not a major red flag, like one that is a safety and security of a hazard of immediate concern, it is one that just is reviewed every time they come out. So in other words, it's stuff that but if it's something major, they will come back. They actually can't turn it into TEA until they have that fixed. But if there's no major ones, then there's no flags that go into TEA.
I don't think he said he was going to put anything major that.
He did not say anything major. The things he noted and the impression he gave me were that the things we had were minor fixes. So.
Good.
So.
Good.
Anyway, that's all I have for the meeting unless there's any more questions. We're doing our sign-in virtually tonight because we have people participating from home. So we're not going to sign in on the sheet, but I will keep this on file that we have checked off this requirement. So.
Did we discuss last meeting? We discussed on the method of having something for the inside. What method did y'all end up taking to have actually audit to lock the inside from the outside, or did y'all have you just going to lock the doors or whatever? I don't know. We discussed that. One of the things we discussed last time.
We have not changed anything on that. An option to lock the door,
Yeah.
like for an intruder?
Yes.
We have not made any changes or decisions on that.
About having one entrance or something like that?
But
No, I
it's
think
more
you're talking about in the
people-
classroom.
Yes, classroom, if you have students there, where's your protocol as far as lock the door? We were gonna talk about putting, they have different things you can.
Like devices and things too,
Devices you
right?
can do, secure yourself inside of that.
And now we have asked teachers to keep their doors locked at all times.
Yeah.
So they have to, I mean, I can't even come to a door and, I mean, unless I bring my key, of course. They don't allow students to open the doors. The teachers open the doors at all times. So when Mr. Kincaid was here, he was not able to get into a classroom. So, and that's even with no students on campus. So that was good for us, but, and I think when students are here, that would have been even more so the case. But we have not come up with a plan for any type of additional device for locking, for securing doors at this point. Not to say we can't, but anyway. If there are no questions, we will be finished. Very much appreciate y'all coming early and participating as we check off one more thing.
Thank you, Ms. McWilliams.
Thank you. We'll do one more in the summer, but probably July or August, I would think.
Very good.
Okay, thank you. Office, anybody need anything?
I will mute the conference room now so you guys can talk and no one can hear you.
Shit's cold. Is that a potential of water? Rumbling out there?
Don't even look at it, because it'll go away.
I was going to say that anything important on the agenda, we would move up in case it's looked like it's going to storm and hail, because I don't want my pickup beat up, but no, looks like that's going to be later on tonight, so.
Yeah.
It's good to see everyone here. Before we get started, Mr. Carter, are you live?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you good to go?
I
Sure.
am.
All right. Before we actually open the meeting, I'd like to ask Mr. Cook to lead us in the word of prayer.
Yes, sir. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and just thank you for the blessings of the beautiful weather you've been giving us, Lord. And Lord, just to thank you for the safety of our community and Fisher County with 0 cases of COVID. We appreciate that, Lord, and just continue to keep our students and staff and community members safe in the future, Lord. We ask that you guide our decisions tonight that'll benefit our kids and our staff. And Lord, we just hope that we glorify you in the things we say and do tonight. We ask these things in your son's name. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Cook.
You're welcome.
At this time, I hereby call this regular meeting of the Roby Board of Trustees of the Roby Consolidated Independent School District to order. Today is Monday, May the 11th, 2020, and the time is now 7:32, or 7:30, I'm sorry, 7:30. My watch is a little bit fast. Mr. Cook, I would like for you to verify that provisions of the Texas Open Meetings Act have been followed.
Yes, sir.
They have been?
Yes, sir.
The meeting's been posted?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. At this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Carter to call the roll.
Yes, sir. Let's start with Mr. Posey,
Here.
Stormy Raspberry,
Here.
Chris Estes,
Here.
Danny Carrion,
Here.
Mark Harris,
Here.
Kevin Kelly,
Here.
Dakota Raspberry.
Here.
I am participating. Jason Carter, Principal for Teaching and Learning virtually. Mr. Cook.
Here.
Miss Lakey is on virtual. Miss McWilliams is on virtual, and so is Coach Pantoja. Mr. Posey, we are here and accounted for.
All right. At this time, we have open forum. Anyone here to speak in open forum? If not, we'll go to the, do we have anyone for student or staff recognition? Yes, sir. Okay. At this time, we'll go into action item B and and the information items. Principal of Student Affairs, Ms. McWilliams.
Okay. Since our last meeting, we have been working on registration for new students for next year. That is primarily pre-K and kindergarten, and any other student that would be new to the district or maybe requesting transfer. We have registration open for those students. At this point, we are just completing forms online on the Google Forms format, and actual documentation we will collect from parents at a later time. So we are registering. We have at this point, I believe, 14 kids registered for pre-K, a couple of new ones for kindergarten, and then a couple requesting other grades. So that's going well, I would say. We have sent out this week requests for freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors for next year's courses so that we can begin building the schedule based on their requests. And then this week we are completing work and packet deliveries as well as online work for our final week of content through our classes for students completing assignments and everything like that. We are asking for all work to be completed and turned in by Friday so that we may close out our grades. And then, of course, you may hear from Mr. Cook that we've been working on graduation plans, and then kindergarten and 8th grade videos since they were not able to complete a graduation on campus. We do have videos that we're still working on to acknowledge those kindergarten and 8th graders that would have had graduation ceremonies. So that's all I have.
Anyone have any questions for Ms. McWilliams? All right, thank you, Ms. McWilliams. Next, Mr. Carter.
Okay. Can everyone hear me?
Sir.
Okay. There's not a lot that I have. I did want to go over with you in your packet online. I put a link to the presentation. You'll look under my name. It's going to be the attachment that is with that in the board book. And I'm fixing to share that screen with you guys so you can have it up on the board as well if you want to see it that way. I'm just going to kind of go through this with you really quick to kind of go over exactly what our plans are at this point in time for the commencement ceremony. Can everybody see the screen? Is it showing a presentation?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, just want to make sure that we're on the same page. Okay, so I met with the seniors. We've talked with the Department, Texas Education Agency. We followed all the guidance, and so looking through some of our plans, we are doing the best that we can to make this as personal as we possibly can. Currently, this is what I pulled from today. This is the case count in the state of Texas. As of right now, there is no confirmed cases in Fisher County. And so therefore, the plans that we have in place are based upon the guidelines that we have at this point in time. If our numbers for COVID cases goes up, the attestation that we have for prior to a June 1st commencement may very well change very quickly. So some of the things that just understanding what the guidance is that with the order that the governor signed on May 5th, we are allowed to have end of year promotions. And so it is subject to change for any reason. The 4 options that are currently available is completely virtual ceremonies, hybrid ceremonies, vehicle ceremonies, and outdoor ceremonies. The outdoor ceremonies has a lot of restrictions, and that's the one that our seniors wanted, our parents wanted, we felt like was what we could handle, and we want to do that for our kids. So looking at it from an outdoor standpoint, as long as we don't have any more cases, I don't know the exact number, I believe it's up to 5, then on May 15th through the 31st, we can have end of the year outdoor ceremonies. And as long as that stays in effect 7 days prior to the ceremony, we are fine. If at any point that number goes above, then we are required to immediately change. We are canceled. We cannot do it from 15th through the 31st. We will have to do it on or after June 1st. And so again, this permission is as of now, but it is subject to change. Outdoor ceremonies, we have to cap the number of people that are at the ceremony. That includes the students, the family, and staff, board members, anyone who is actually in the facility. If they are coming into the facility, we are required to give a questionnaire, or not a questionnaire. We're able to, we have to ask these questions, and they have to answer to these questions. If for some reason anyone says, I have new or worsening symptoms, then they're not allowed in the facility. If they say, no, I do not, then they're allowed into the facility. That is the only restriction that we have on allowing people in and out of the facility. Looking at it from a standpoint, we are not allowed to have any rehearsals. It is a one-time, one go through. So we cannot, we'll have to do all of our preparations and just kind of do it on the fly. So, but our kids are really good at that, and so are our parents. So I think we're really good there. This is the one that gets us, is we have to keep 6 feet apart from all participants except from the same household. And that can be 5 individual or fewer. If for any reason that you have someone in another household, that household has to be at least 6 feet away from another household. So that's what we were kind of coming up with is that, you know, as long as everyone lives in the same house, you can have 5 or fewer. But if you have grandparents that live together can sit in one area and vice, you know, all the way through. But if it's a different household, it is the 6 feet minimum. Hand sanitizer, we have to make sure that it's there. We have to have school employees that are there for the ceremony to ensure that logistically we can support it. Diplomas, we are not allowed to hand a diploma to a student unless the people that are handling the diplomas have gloves at all times. So that's even transporting those out to the facility. We have to have gloves on. We have to limit the amount of exposure possible. Even though that we don't have any cases in our counties, we still have to follow these rules, because once again, all of those cases that we've seen, we are bringing people into Roby, Texas that are from outside. Not to say they have it, but we have to limit the exposure. And that's one of the reasons why that restriction's in there. We have to have stations. We'll have assignments where people are. And then we have specific plans for arrival and departures. Sometimes it does look a little sophisticated, I will promise you that. Our plan, really quickly, is we will have the senior video. We're not allowed to have it during the in the auditorium. No one can be in building. So at 6 o'clock, we will send a link on YouTube to a video for the seniors to watch. At 7 o'clock, it will become live so that everyone can see it at that point. Once again, we know that people are probably going to get together for parties, but we are strongly encouraging people to remain with the social distancing guidelines. The commencement ceremony, it will be at Lion Stadium. Then the ceremony will be at 9:30 Saturday morning, May 23rd. If for any reason that we hit the 5 or the attestation is gone and we have to go to that after June 1st, then we will select a day on the week of June 1st at the same time, 9:30 a.m. So that is the backup plan that we currently have in place. We have capped the capacity for the facility at 175 people. That includes graduates, family, board of trustees, administration, and school personnel. We will have questionnaires at the entrance points that all people will have to answer yes or no to. So we've given those out. We will do it again so that everyone knows ahead of time what the actual new and worsening symptoms look like. And then they just have to answer yes or no. There will be no practice. We will have a graduate Zoom the week of graduation for them to kind of hear what the plans are. And then also on the day of, we will also give them a run through as we're getting ready for the ceremony. The way that we have set up the zones or the sections for our parents, there will be an 8 by 8 feet zone for a family of 5 or fewer from the same household. And then each graduate will also have 2 additional zones, zone 2 and zone 3, that are 8 by 4 that can contain up to 2 members. And so we have capped our people at 9 people. And so per graduate, that is to ensure that we can maintain the social distancing and that we can, we would love to have 500,000 people in there, but we just do not feel comfortable in doing that. So we felt that 9 was a number that we could come up with that was logistically supported. Hand sanitizers will be at the entrance points. We will have no more than 14 school personnel available at the commencement ceremony, so we will cap it at 14. Individuals handling the diplomas will wear protective gloves. That anybody who is working the ceremony for the school has direct authority, and everyone has to comply. If they do not comply, they are required to leave the facility at that point. That includes children. That includes anyone that we need to make sure that they are complying to all the rules that we have to follow. Seating assignments will be picked at random. So what I'll do this week is I will get a Zoom set up for the parents. We'll draw numbers so that they know ahead of time what their section and row number is. And then on the day of, they know exactly where to go to sit. This is kind of the ceremony site, kind of how we have it set up. The admin will be on the left in the front row. Graduates will be on the right facing the main stands. Then the row just behind the graduates and admin staff will be row 1, or the front row, row A. And then the back row will be row B. And so that is how we have it designated. Those rows will also have a point that they have to come in. Graduates will be need to arrive at 8:45. Family seating will open at 8:45. So anybody who is coming in the facility can start arriving at 8:45. Seniors will go to the turf ring, and they will have parking on the outer edge of the junior high building. And so that's their designated parking. We just have to make sure that they maintain 6 feet in between them as they come in and out of the parking areas. Those that are going to be in the actual facility that are parents or family members, not admin, board, anywhere else, they will park in the main parking lot. But for those that are here for a graduate, we'll park in the area closest to Mr. Cook's house on the highway and 5th Street. Entry points for row A, which is the front row, will go through the gate on the side of the practice field and then go into the actual field next to the old weight room. Then the ones in the back row will go through the 5th Street entrance into the facility where those double swing gates are at. We're going to set up the site somewhat similar to this, that we'll have a stage set up. We will have our black curtains behind, something that we can still be able to get some good pictures for our seniors. Ms. West will be taking pictures. We're going to try to live stream the service through YouTube. And then once the commencement ceremony concludes, all family zones will be dismissed by announcement. So as we announce them leaving, then they will need to leave at that point in time, and so that we can have a coordinated exit in from the facility. And then at all times, we cannot allow any type of congregation. Then, of course, the high-risk populations we need to worry about. So that is kind of the quick lowdown of what we're doing. Does anybody have any questions, concerns, or anything that we need to address in this plan?
Are we planning on all board members being at the graduation, or this year being under the situation that is just, what's the plans on that?
We have it set up to that everyone is able to come, and we have spots for everybody to be. So there is no limitations on the board being present. So we have accounted for that. So if y'all want to come, we would love for you to. We just kind of need to know ahead of time so that we can set things up for that.
Is there staff, do we have plenty of room for all staff that want to be there? You know, because if there's staff that want to be there and we can't because of numberings, then maybe board members are to back out.
Actually, that's not going to matter because we can't even have staff present if they are not working the actual ceremony. So we can't even have them in attendance if they're not working. So we've capped the school employees at 14. We felt like that was enough to get everybody who wanted to come. Now, with that being said, anyone who is on the outside of the facility that parks or is somewhere else, we're going to blare the speakers, so you're going to be able to hear and everything else. But it's just those that are in the facility we have to cap. So if you're inside the gates, we have to cap that.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions on graduation?
Does everybody know, or is anybody going to know that they're going to be there for sure? Do we have a?
Be there.
You'll be there?
I'll be there.
2 more. Mr. Estes, not sure yet. Mr. Carry on?
No.
Okay.
Tentatively.
Okay.
Right now, yeah.
Well, we'll just play it by ear and I'll communicate to y'all. Okay.
And that's all I have to report, Mr. Posey.
All right. Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Carter? All right. Is Coach Pintoja got a report? Coach Pintoja, Athletic Director, report.
Yes, sir. Y'all have me there?
Yes, we hear you.
All right. There's a few things. One, I asked about the track. The track should be done by the end of the week. Really, they told me they're just in the cleanup phase at this point, so they'll clean everything up and then they'll stripe it. And they should be done barring bad weather, I guess. But they thought they'd be done by the end of the week for sure. They really thought in 3 days it'd be done. The second thing, our baseball district met. So when UIL realigned us, they put us with some 1As and some 2As. Well, we met as a district, or I guess 2 districts, District 4 and District 6. And what we decided to do was we're going to combine just the 1As together as one district. So Hermley, Ira, us, Rotan, and Westbrook will play in one district for the 2 playoff spots. And then basically the 2As will play in their own different one. We just thought it was a little bit better. That way every game was competitive and we have to worry about somebody throwing a pitcher that wasn't good enough to, and you weren't getting anything out of it. So they decided to do those 2 things. And then the third thing is really, I'm just looking for suggestions with Governor Abbott announcing the last time that on the 18th that we can open up gym or weight rooms. Just kind of want to get y'all's opinion on it. He did put some restrictions on it. So the restriction, so you start to remain 6 feet apart. It's at 25% capacity. We have to regularly clean and disinfect any regular touch areas. We have to provide equipment that will clean. We have to provide hand sanitizer. We have to place visible signage at the gym to remind everyone of the best hygiene practices. They have to wear gloves that cover up the fingertips. It doesn't specify whether it's latex or not. I mean, so it leaves that open. and I'm open to either one. My concern is we're technically not a gym, so there's no way that we can monitor that facility, I guess, all 24 hours and make sure that everyone's in compliance. But really, I'm open up to y'all's opinion on what y'all think on what we should do there.
You want to have an opinion on?
Is that opening up to the public or just to the students?
Well, according to UIO, we can't open it up still. But, I mean, it's whether or not we want to classify, I guess, our turf room as a gym in, I guess, a public gym. Because in terms of UIO, really, we can't allow it. I know we would have to leave some doors locked, or every door would have to remain locked so they could only access that one. So even though it gets hot in there, they'd have to leave that open because there's that constant touching of a door handle.
You're basically talking about the ones that have paid their fee for their car community.
Right, because we can't leave it open at this point.
Right.
Because that would go against UIO.
Sounds like you got a good plan as far as your rules.
When are you thinking that you might want to open it up?
Well, according to what Abbott said, on the 18th is the first day that we can possibly open it up if we choose to.
What do you think, Mr. Kelly?
Yeah, if you had opened it up, you'd have to probably set hours so that you can routinely clean it.
Yes.
That's probably one thing you'd have to
That'd be
do.
fair. That'd be fair. You just have to want to, you have to
Yeah,
comply with the hour.
you have to comply. If you were to open it up, that would probably be the best thing. Make it easier, one, to make sure it's clean and available. I mean, weight room is a nice thing, but it's hard. It is something that's very hard
If you,
to
tell
keep
them like you
clean.
said, put the gloves on, you have to cover your hands.
Yeah, you have to wear gloves.
The cleaning crew comes twice a week right now, so.
Yeah, I mean, if you,
About 2 times a week.
yeah, but if you opened it up to the public and everybody, it'd probably have to be, one, you need to provide, some kind of cleaning supplies for people using. When I remembered I'd go to gyms and you'd be able to get a bleach spray bottle and a rag and you could wipe it. But also you'd probably have to increase the frequency of cleaning. And set certain out, like from 5 to 10, it's open, and open it up. And at 10, you go through and clean it. And then you open it up at, 3 to 9. And you're throwing out numbers, and then you have someone go at 9 and have to go through and wipe out, bleach it out pretty much just to make sure it's really good and clean. So it need to be an increase in frequency because there's a lot of sputum, a lot of aerosol breathing, which potentially is where the spread comes from. And it can last on those materials in there very well for a long time. So,
Coach, have you had anyone in the community ask you about when it's going to open?
Well, I've had a couple people reach out. I mean, I probably had no more than 10, but close to 10 on basically what our plan was. And I just kind of kept pushing, saying that I'd have to speak with y'all to get approval. I mean, I don't mind being the bad guy in the situation, but I didn't want to just it solely be on mine. And then if something were to happen, it wouldn't be good.
how hard is it to use that fogger too?
We've got to get Mr.
Yeah.
to.
That's what I'm saying, is like, as far as cleaning it, at least once a day with that. I mean, you gotta kind of be excessive is what you gotta be in cleaning than what you used to.
We have to have somebody there to monitor, make sure they get the gloves on doing this, such
Yeah,
as
do you
another
have-
staff employee, we'd have to have in the room.
If it's going to come down to something like that, I'd
Yeah.
rather just soon leave it closed. But
I think the liability is too much right now, just to be best, just keep it closed.
Yeah, because I do believe that's kind of the difference is a gym usually has an employee that's there while the gym is open, and I don't know that we'll necessarily have that.
right, I just see a lot of issues with the current situation that we're in. I would like to provide that opportunity for the public to use the facilities, but under the current situation that we're in, I think it's going to be a problem.
It's very tough to keep it clean and monitored.
Why don't we look at it again at our next board meeting?
Okay, and I'm fine with that. I mean, either way, we'll probably open up the track within the next week or two, so we'll have something that the public can use.
All right. Anything else?
No, sir, that's it.
Ms. Estes asked if we're gonna have restrictions at the track.
In the UIL.
I would think just kind of the basic ones. I mean, not, no wheels on there. But I mean, walking and running should be fine.
And maintaining safe distances.
Yeah.
Correct.
And just put a sign, maintain distance.
Maintain 6 feet.
Okay, anyone else have any questions for Coach? Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Next, we'll go to the business manager report, Ms. Lakey.
All right, y'all can hear me?
Yes, we do.
Okay. All right, if we'll start and look at the recap comparison of revenue to budget, it's the report that has 2 pages on it of FIN 3050. And I want to just go ahead and point out a couple things right here as I was looking through this the other day. Says we're at 72.59% realized, but you also have to look that this week I will be drawing down Title I funds. So that's going to bump that up, as well as in 255 in Title II Part A. I have to, go back and recode some payroll to that because I realized that I hadn't been pulling that out a couple of weeks ago. And so I have found the person I can code to that for payroll. So I'll start pulling that out as well. And that was just an oversight by me when I was doing payroll. So other than that, right there, that's everything else is on track. We did get 50,000 from wind turbines. All right, let's see. Our cash position right now, we're at 3.7 million. I did do the bank rec on Friday after I had ran these reports, and we were at 3.9 from some TEA money from that we did receive at the end of April. And then on that last report, as you can see, the percentages of expenditures to budget, we're doing pretty well on this. Most of them aren't over 75%. So right now we're sitting kind of pretty all right. If you'll look in that function 81 on page 3, you'll see that's where our track money is that we've been spending on the track so far. So that's 220,000 there. So overall total expenditures at 74%. That's all I have for that.
All right, anybody have any questions for Ms. Lakey? All right, thank you, Ms. Lakey. Next is Superintendent Report, Mr. Cook.
Yes, sir. Let's see, I've included a 6-week attendance ADA report there. You can see the last report was on the 4th 6 weeks and 5th and 6th. We still haven't figured out how we're going to calculate 5th and 6th yet. Maybe a combination of taking last year's 5th and 6th, or maybe a combination of taking the average of the first 4 or something like that. So when we get that, we'll be able to plug in the 5th and 6th there.
That will be from the state.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's see. I have a resignation letter from Ms. Heron. She has been a part-time teacher for us, a writing teacher for us for many years. She says, Roby CISD administration, I have enjoyed my time at Roby CISD and I appreciate the opportunity that allowed me to work part-time as a writing teacher. Unfortunately, I will not be returning to work for the 2020-2021 school year as a writing teacher. Please accept my letter of resignation. Sincerely, Roxy Heron. So we certainly appreciate Ms. Heron. Not sure how many years she's been here. Do you know Ms. McWilliams or Mr. Carter, how long Ms. Heron's been here? And I think this is her 2nd time to retire, because she was a retire.
I do not know how many years.
I think it's in the high 20s.
High 20s. Okay. So we certainly appreciate everything she's done for our kids at Roby CISD, for sure.
Absolutely. We appreciate her and the work that she's done and the love that she's had for this school. We appreciate her work and wish her well.
I will miss her positive attitude. I felt like she was one of the staff members. She was always smiling when I saw her. Let's see, nutrition-wise, we're feeding anywhere from 205 to 215 kids a day. We will have 2 more delivery pickup days. One will be this Thursday, and then the following Monday. Following Monday will be the last one for the school year, and we'll provide meals for 4 days worth on Monday. It's the last week of school. So that system has been going really well. Cafeteria staff I've not recognized before. Ms. McWilliams has also played an important part in that role, helping out and organizing it, so appreciate her too. One thing that comes up each year at this time is board training. That's something we need to, usually we go to the conference in Fort Worth, the SLI, the Summer Leadership Institute conference in Fort Worth, and of course all that's probably going away.
Have they canceled it yet?
No, not officially, but I'm sure they will. But there are some things that we need to take care of regardless with the conference or not. One new thing is cybersecurity. That is a 1-hour online course that y'all can do online at your leisure. There's also a child abuse prevention that we need to do. It's also a 1-hour online course, okay? We have to do evaluating and improving student outcomes. That's a big one. That's a 3-hour training there. And that one has to be face-to-face as of right now. It may change according to the COVID, but we also have our annual team building. If we set our goals and vision and mission with the representative from Region 14, I'll be here for that. And then you have additional continuing education where you went to the different classes at the convention, but all that's 5 hours worth of work that you can do online. So we're talking about a total of 13 credits is what we're going to need to get. We can do that different ways. You know, we can set up all of you the online ones and you can do them on your own. We can meet up here and watch them together if you want to. Of course, keeping safe distance and all that, but I'm assuming that you probably want to watch them at your house online, but that's y'all's decision on there. But the evaluating and improving student outcomes, the 3-hour there, the team building, the 3-hour there, those are face-to-face ones that we'll have to consider sometime in the summer, later in the summer, I'm sure. Okay. So that's just a reminder to you that we're going to need to get 13 credits. And of course, I'll send that out in an email so you don't have to memorize everything I just said, but that just kind of gives you an overview of what to expect. Okay. The cybersecurity and the child abuse prevention are new. Those are things that are brand new, part of the new legislative session. Any questions on that, on the board training? Okay.
Had y'all rather get the 1-hour courses done on your own, or had y'all rather meet up here an hour before a board meeting and knock them out a few months at a time?
I mean, just probably on my own. I mean, just me, but speaking for you.
I do them all.
That'll work for me too.
All right.
Probably get to ask Mr. Carter to send y'all a link or something when it's the right time, and y'all can just access it at your leisure and get it knocked out.
Just make sure you get it done. We don't want to get dinged at the start of the next year's school year whenever they read our hours out and we don't have ours.
I can tell you that we've done an excellent, y'all have done an excellent job of maintaining your number of credit hours that you need, because it seems like last year we were getting like 21 per person or something like that. I mean, it's way above the average. So let's see, seniors, I know Mr. Carter did a great job talking about the commencement ceremony on Saturday, May 23rd at 9:30 a.m. We are doing the senior video. We talked about releasing that the Friday before. Senior signs, we have ordered and we have them in stock. Now, we have them in possession now. They're just those signs that you stick in the yard with their picture on it, class of 2020, congratulations, their name on it, their picture of them. We're going to put those probably out on the highway here near the school, and then at graduation, we'll move them over to the stadium. So we're looking to probably put those out either tomorrow or the next day. So you'll start seeing those senior signs. We've had some parents, you've seen it in the bus barn fence where they put, there's a big red heart and class of 2020. We've had some parents put that together, and I thought they did a great job with that. We appreciate their efforts there. Ms. Loomis has done a fantastic job of hosting senior spotlights each day on Facebook, and I don't know if you've got to see those. And those are really, she sent out a Google survey form to each senior. They filled in the blanks, and then she reproduced that on Facebook with their pictures. So we appreciate Ms. Loomis' effort in that. And then we are going to have a baccalaureate on May 17th at 6 p.m. at First Baptist Church here. Ryan Holmes will be leading that ceremony. It'll be an outdoor ceremony, I think right behind the fellowship hall, First Baptist Church, in that grassy area right there, and people can park and watch. So hopefully the seniors will show up in their cap and gown and be recognized at the baccalaureate. So that's May 17th at 6 p.m. at First Baptist Church. And I believe that's, unless the principals tell me otherwise, I think that's all the summary of all the senior activities that we're doing for them to recognize them in this, of course, difficult time and everything like that. So it's been a team effort, and I appreciate the administrators and leadership team working together to get all this done. After our meeting tonight, Mr. Estes, Mr. Posey, if you'll stay behind to sign the diplomas, I would appreciate that. And then as far as superintendent report, I'll throw one more thing out there. What about maybe in next month, moving this meeting up to 6 p.m.? Does anybody have any objections to moving the meetings up, or comments in that regards, or anything like that? Just throwing it out there. But if we want to keep it at 7:30, keep it at 7:30.
Well, for me personally, 7:30 is better because June gets pretty busy this time of year.
That'll work. Anybody else?
But I'll be here whenever the group wants to be.
I don't know if it's easier for you, Kevin, out of your schedule at the hospital.
Usually they keep me scheduled so I can do this most of the time. So
Okay.
time doesn't matter too much for me.
Anybody else?
I mean, 6 is good for me, but I mean, it's a group. I mean, we got a lot of farmers and all that, but I'm usually here on Mondays before I leave town.
Real Tan Board met at 7 this morning, so
Yeah.
it's 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, 5 o'clock in the morning would be good.
Get that right before work.
As long as it's a quick meeting.
I know the newspaper really likes the really early meetings.
Yeah.
For June, let's just leave it at 7:30.
Yes, sir.
Good, sir.
Right after the consent agenda, can we move action item, not sure, E maybe, review the preliminary values for 2020 from Fisher and Jones counties? Can we move that up to the front? We've got a guest tonight, Mr. Sidebottom. It's just a review. We're not taking any action on it, but he wanted to come here and talk about the preliminary values. We'll also have, I believe, Mr. John Blackburn is on the Zoom with us too. So looking at the preliminary values, if y'all have questions about any of that, these two guys are the experts. We can ask away. So, but that's right after.
That goes, we move it up to right now.
Yeah, I'm done with the superintendent report. If you want to move to that, that's fine with me.
Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Carter? All right. Then if not, we will jump down into the action items. I believe it is action item E, review the preliminary values for the 2020 Fisher Jones County. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I received these April 27th from Fisher Jones County. And I believe on yours, does it have last year, April 2019 out to the side of it, handwritten? I just wrote those out to the side. So you can kind of see a comparison from last year to this year. And obviously the mineral, utilities, and industrial line item right there increased by over $200 million. So it's quite a bit of change, as you can see there. Now, so how does this impact us? That's where John and Rob, if you want to come in here too, please, sir, and just kind of give us, Mr. Blackburn, kind of give us an overview of, is this good, is this bad, how does it affect us, how does it affect the turbine company, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep, that's great. I'll start with that increase that you just talked about in that category, mineral, utilities, industrial. Obviously, we assume that a large portion of that $200 million in increase is coming from wind turbines. If you remember at last meeting, we got an estimate from, I believe, Pritchard and Abbott that would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 160 million. So if we just look at it and say, okay, 160 of that 200 increase came from wind, we'll attribute the other 40 roughly to just minerals, saying that oil, as of January 1st, oil values were up enough to have probably increased it. So yeah, that increase right there is great. It puts us at that total net taxable value number that you can see there on your comparison of 325. So if that winds up being the number, that actually comes in a little bit higher than what our top end was in our comparison last time. So that obviously allows us to do everything on a 25-year term, go for the full amount, and do all that. Down at the bottom, you can see that your appraiser has included a caveat that says, it is my recommendation that you decrease values by 20% in order to have a more realistic value for preliminary budget work. That's a great tip there. So if we take that 20% reduction, let's just say it's going to put us somewhere around the neighborhood of 260 million in total value as opposed to 325. So if you remember last time we talked about, okay, well, you know, what happens if we only get half the wind value? Well, in that scenario, we were looking at a total of maybe 220 at our low end. So I think even if we use the 20% reduction in value that your appraiser is recommending and we come in around 260, we're still going to be well above what our bottom end scenario was last time as far as total value needed for the project. So, I mean, I think even if we come in at certified value time at 20% less than 325 million, we're still going to be well within the range that we had looked at last time. We may be looking at potentially a 26 or 27 year bond as opposed to a 25-year bond if all that plays out and it truly is 20% less. So if we come in closer to that 325 number, then we're going to be more on track with what our top end scenario was. Either way, it's a great increase in value. The one thing we may consider is that a portion of that 200 million in increase could have been due to mineral. As of January 1st, from January 1st to now, minerals have not been doing so hot. So there's a chance that next year's certification, we could lose some value in that category based on minerals, but that's something we can estimate and allow for as in the bond sale. It's just not plan on that total value amount of 325. Say we use 300, for example, as our planning number. So again, some stuff we can plan for. So I think you guys got a great value increase. I think a majority of it coming from wind is going to stick around. There may be a little drop in mineral when we get to January 1st of this next year, but it's a great increase in value and keeps us right in the range we discussed, and you know, still gives you the ability to go for your full bond amount and sell your full bond amount. If for any reason we did get some scare in values or anything like that, we could potentially switch to 2 bond sales where you just sell 5 and 5 or 6 and 4 or something like that. So at this point, I don't really see a need to do that. I don't think there's any scary value situation coming up where that would be needed. So great job on values, and I think we're right in where we need to be and should give us a good looking scenario for November.
John, let me ask you this. What about going from a May election to November election? Does that have any kind of impact on this?
It doesn't really. I mean, other than potential increase in construction cost, which at this point with markets up and down, it may not even be as steep of an increase as what we were thinking. So, but I mean, other than that, from just the bond sale standpoint, it's not going to impact us that much. The one thing that it does do that's nice is it's going to push us a little closer to next year's value certification, where, you know, we kind of have an understanding of what the mineral impact might be. So it's going to do that. As far as rates, rates are still, they went up and down. They took a big volatile hop. They increased almost 2 full percentage points, 200 basis points in about 2 weeks in March. And then they've come back down. They fluctuated a little bit and they're starting to level back out. So I think rates are roughly where they were before all this volatility started. And I don't see that changing too terribly much between now and the end of the year. So I think we are still going to get great rates. And, you know, when your bond passes in November, we'd be looking at kind of like a January sale, probably after the first of the year, after the holiday and everything, somewhere in there. So we could try and get it done before then. So I think good timing. Again, if we were in a really scary value situation, we could potentially have a sale in January, wait till values are certified in July, and then have another sale if we needed to. You know, we could do something like that where, you know, we could be cautious like that. But I don't see anything from the bond sale side that's going to be affected too much.
Yes, sir, Mr.
I'll just tie into that a little bit. Good to see y'all again. I'll stay back here. So on that note, typically when a bond election moves out, you see increased cost escalation. And I know we talked about that a great deal in some of our meetings. Because of what's going on, we're in more or less a recession. So what we're seeing so far, and we're doing this kind of thumb in the air, but right now, as we're bidding stuff out today, we're seeing very good pricing. So it's not escalating because of what's happening. It's actually staying flat and in some cases going down. So that should help avoid any increased, once again, it's a guess, but as of right now, there's a potential that it could avoid any cost escalation because people are sharpening their pencil to get to work.
Does anybody have any questions for either John or Rob?
Guys, we appreciate your time, and we're looking forward to gearing back up and starting planning again and working with you in November.
Thank you, Mr. Blackburn. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next we'll go back up to consent agenda items. First on the consent agenda item is the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to look over the minutes from the previous meeting? Any question on the minutes?
I'll motion to approve them.
We'll get them all at once unless we want to vote on individually. Next action item B is disapprove the monthly reports presented by the Fisher County Tax Collector's Office, and that's in your packet. Cook, you want to go?
Looks like they've collected 95.72% of taxes for this school year. We still have an uncollected balance of $58,000. And in the delinquent roll, we've collected 22.76%, still roughly 46,000 uncollected balance. So it's obviously starting to slow down right there. I've always heard that 96% is what you're shooting for. So we're getting close to that.
Getting really close. All right, and then we have the monthly bills next. Anyone have any questions on the monthly bills? Anything you want to point out?
I can go over a couple of things with y'all. Okay. As you can see, I have a couple of voided checks at the top. We got some money back from golf tournaments that we did not attend. I paid both April and May's SSA payments to Tri-County. I believe we're done with that for the year. That May, I think, should have been the last one we paid. There's also a check in there for $661 for baseball equipment, which we obviously did not use this year, so we will save for next year. Still had to pay for those because we got them. As you'll also see on the object codes, which is the two numbers preceding the 4 that are in the middle, anything that it is coded 02, or not everything, but most of the things that are coded 02 are things that I've made codes for COVID-19 expenses that hopefully we will be reimbursed for. So I believe I have 4 codes for those. So I'm keeping track of what we've been spending extra things for those cleaning supplies. And as you can see, the one for the Amazon on the second page, we got cameras for distance learning and microphones for the staff so that they could do online recording and things like that for classes that they needed to do. Also, the very last thing is we did buy a floor scrubber, and that is a scrubber that is used for many surfaces in our school, mainly the junior high and elementary wings. If we add a wing, that'll be used for that stuff. You can use it for the gym floors. Cafeteria, yeah, things like that. So something that was very beneficial for us to use to clean things. I believe we're going to try to maybe get reimbursed for that for cleaning purposes. We'll try, but it doesn't mean we'll get to. But anyway, is there any other questions y'all might have on those bills? There wasn't a whole lot for this time.
You want to have any questions on the bills?
FEMA does try to, we've applied for some help funding wise with FEMA, and we've gone through the first step. Now we're going to have to put together a list of things that we've, at the end of the school year, put a list of things that we've spent through for this COVID situation and itemize it per se. So we'll try to get as much as we can, for FEMA and help there. So we are pursuing that avenue. I just wanted y'all to know that we are. Okay.
Anyone else have any questions on the consent agenda items? Is there any reason we need to separate any of the consent agenda items out? If not, what's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve consent agenda items.
Was that you, Kevin?
Yes. The math throws you off.
Yes.
Yeah. I need to throw my voice over there like Chris.
Like a ventriloquist.
Yeah, I sick. I need a puppet.
All right, Mr. Kelly's made a motion to approve the consent agenda items, seconded by Mr. Harris. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. All right. Next is action items. Action item A, review, approve, disapprove the purchase of a new tractor and its implements that for the Roby CISD through the fund balance. Is Mr. Cepeda here?
Is he on here? I don't know if he is or not. Probably not. So everybody has that attachment with all the pricing on there.
He is not online.
Who's going to take this? Mr. Raspberry? Mr. Cook, why don't you carry us through this?
Okay. Well, Ed and I worked on this spreadsheet. We kind of tried to put it together best we can to compare apples to apples. I know the first two listed are 35 horsepower and the third one's 38 horsepower and the last one 36.3, so it's a little different. On the pricing quotes that they gave us, some of them included, like, and while they implement, I think the tractor amount there, the $21,450.85, included the bucket and the hydraulics. So it's kind of a, you know, those things all went into one pot per se. So when you see an X on a line, that means it's probably included in the tractor amount in that first column of the tractor. So, but you know, like Smith and Sons, they split it up, you know, split it by tractor, bucket, shredder, blade, VIT. I don't even know what VIT means. Y'all know that. I don't. Hydraulics,
Equipment tax.
The warranties are all very, you know, they're different, but there's that's apples to oranges in my opinion on the warranties. But you see the total price there. So I think Mr. Cepeda put these in kind of in an order that he would like. So take that with, you know, but there you go.
Anyone have any questions, concerns? The way the Smithy Son's got theirs all decked out there, I wonder if it's got tires on it, because they don't have that on.
Maybe. So do you recommend, I mean, buying something at this time? I mean, I know the uncertainty and looking at budgets, you know, and all that. I mean, is that your recommendation?
Yeah, I do.
Feel like we can.
Yeah, I think, you know, Mr. Cepeda says we've been needing it for a long time, and I agree. I think we need it. And I know, you know, there's possible recession and all that. I get it. But you know, we've built up a healthy fund balance over the years. And things like this, I think are, you know, are needed. But it's strictly your decision. I recommend that we do get one, but that's. Y'all, that we got some good experts about tractors here, and they know how their value and everything. So if we certainly want to put it off to a different month or something, I'll get it.
So that Wiley one is just not going to be available till October?
Yes.
Just like, or you have to order it, or does it just?
Yeah, it'd be an order, because it's a hydrostatic transmission. We don't hardly keep the hydrostatics. We do a shuttle shift just because they're. So we made this one the same price as the other one, but we sell more of the shuttle shift, so we didn't have it in inventory. And then all of the plants, I can't speak for everybody, all of our plants were shut down through
this time.
Yeah, they're all up north, so.
So I was wondering, you know, looking at it, I mean, that one to me is kind of more with this, the warranty that kind of comes with it.
I will say you can put it on there, either it's a 10-year or a 1,500-hour warranty. So what you generally see in a small tractor is you put 30 hours on it a year, carry it out over a longer time, versus a big farmer's gonna put 600 or 1,000 hours. A small tractor, you're not gonna obviously run it that hard, so extend your time out.
Yeah.
Where's that Coyote tractor made?
Couldn't tell you.
If it's made in China, I am not in favor of getting it in China.
I would venture to say that all of the tractors on the list are foreign made.
Farm all in Mexico or?
Yeah. They're brought into the US.
Same continent.
Northern.
Just across the river, not across the pond.
That's it.
That's what my salesman says.
What's the pleasure of the board? Any other questions?
I think Dakota and myself are gonna recuse ourselves from voting. It doesn't matter to us. Or I speak for myself, it doesn't matter to me. I would look at the ones that can service you. Generally not gonna talk about John Deere, but I mean, they are 10 minutes away from your school district.
I mean, if it's October till we get it, I mean, the whole deal pressing now was to get things done while, you know, we were out of school and that kind of thing.
Is the John Deere tractor available?
Yes, sir. I think there's only one there.
I think it's just the Kubota, or the farmhouse selling.
Yeah, the farmhouse, the other one's, you can get it quick.
And to answer your question, Jeff, Daegu, South Korea.
South Korea.
Put their headquarters in Winville, North Carolina.
For the Coyote.
I'm for anything except China. Well, me personally, I'm good with the Wiley, the Farm All, or the John Deere, either one. The other two brands, Coyote, I don't know nothing about them. I don't know whether they're well built, whether they're just thrown together. The Kubotas, I don't know. I've never been around them. I haven't heard a lot bad about them, but they're all mechanical. They all got hydraulics, and that tends to leak. So
going on, Stormies, sorry, I sang brother. Going on Stormy, I mean, servicing, I mean, on all four of them, I mean, which one's gonna be your easiest one to get serviced when it breaks down, or if it breaks down? I mean, that's something we'd be looking at.
Well, the John Deere's 10 minutes away, right?
10 minutes away, and then, I mean, for y'all, I mean, if it were to break down, how quickly does?
It's just a service call, it all depends on what it is.
Usually probably.
Time of year.
Yeah. I mean, those are the things you're gonna look at.
It happens in the wintertime, you're liable to be the first one on the list. This time of year, it might be a month, but it's gonna be across the board on any hole.
Yeah, oh yeah, I mean, that would come the same as John Deere. If it's during the high farm time, then you're gonna be lower on the list anyway.
So, I mean, if John Deere's, if they got it available now, and we can, I mean,
that's something you also look at is, they're Fisher County. So you are kind of in a way bringing in business to Fisher County.
Of course, we got two guys.
But, I mean, yeah.
No judgment here.
That's what you're looking at also is also that, but then Farmall's red and we're red, so I mean, no.
And we're not green.
We're not green. Can we change school colors? No, just kidding.
So Mr. Cook, what did he put them in order the way he wanted them, or?
Well, he listed that Kyoto first because it was the cheapest, but,
He put them in order.
price.
Yeah.
But, I think he's right in line with what y'all are saying, the second and third one is what he's looking at.
I think if it's stuff he's gonna need to get done, if this is a decision we're gonna do, if things we need to get done during the summer, I mean, it really just puts it on the John Deere. I mean,
Yeah.
because that means we can get it and he can get to work like he was wanting to do as soon as possible. But, that comes to deciding to do that. That would be what I would say.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Well, I just said what I thought. If he's wanting to get to work and summertime's the time to get it done for him, the availability aspect.
Local.
Local. That's kind of.
Is the horsepower, one's 35, one's 38, is that a significant difference or not? Okay.
I don't think it's,
Nothing you've ever noticed.
Okay.
are either one of them front wheel assist?
They should all be.
Or all
They
front wheel
don't,
assist?
they don't make little tractors like that unless they're special ordered two-wheel drive.
Will this go with no action, or will this go with an action?
Quality equipment.
Okay,
I'll second it.
Chris has made a motion to purchase a tractor from Quality Implement as stated on the printout for $25,635. This is seconded by Kevin. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? And 2 abstain. So we have 5, 0, 2 abstain.
Mr.
Okay? Yes.
Who are the two that, can we just name the two that are abstaining?
Dakota Raspberry and Stormy Raspberry are abstaining.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Next is action item B, review, approve, disapprove a waiver request to nullify the CPR training required for graduating seniors.
There's no attachment for this one, no attestation statement, but since the COVID outbreak, there's been 4 waivers that TEA has allowed school districts to utilize, and one of those is the CPR training. The students don't get a CPR certification per se. They're just made to demonstrate mouth-to-mouth resuscitation and just basic CPR skills. Of course, with students not allowed to come up here, I'm requesting that we approve a waiver request to nullify the CPR training because we can't get the seniors up here. And like I said, it's not a CPR, certainly don't get a card or anything like that. It's just a requirement by the state now that that students receive some kind of CPR training before they graduate. This is just me putting it on the agenda for today's date, and then I just go into TA's website and put in the date that we approved or didn't approve or whatever. So I'm asking that we approve this waiver.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second it.
Stormy has made a motion to approve the waiver to nullify the CPR training, seconded by Mr. Kelly. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next is action item C, review, approve, disapprove the abstinence-based coalition shared service agreement for the 2021 school year.
This is a program we talked about last year, I don't know if you remember, that is through Sweetwater ISD, in which there's, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12, about 13 schools participating in this co-op per se. And of course, with the COVID outbreak, it's been limited this year, but typically Sweetwater ISD sends an employee here several times throughout the year to train or to inform our kids, our students at all different grade levels about the importance of abstinence. And this is based on this program, this amount is based on the number of kids that we have in schools. So you can see I provided a chart there that we have, it's total grades 6, 7, 8, and 9 that we're communicating this program to, and we have 102 kids participating. The price went up, I think from last year it was maybe $41. I think that's what Ms. Lakey told me, to this year's $45. So you can see Roby's price per student, or the total cost for 102 kids. But since last year, I think it went up because of the price increase per kid. I think it went up like $400 from last year. So I recommend that we continue this program. We've done a fantastic job. The results speak for themselves. I mean, the amount of teen pregnancy we've had is like one student in the last 5 or 6 years. So, and that one student was 5 or 6 years ago. So I think the program's effective, and I recommend that we continue this program next school year.
Want to have any questions? What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Dakota's made a motion to approve the abstinence-based coalition shared services. Stormy seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0 and 1 abstain. Mr. Carrion is absent at this time, so I'm guessing he abstained. Next is action item D. There he is. Mr. Carrion, we just had a vote on abstinence. Would you like to vote for it?
You bet.
All right. Mr. Carter, that vote will be 7-0.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Next is action item D. Review, approve, disapprove pregnancy education and parenting program service contract.
Same type of scenario here is through Sweetwater ISD. There's several schools participating, as you can see through the chart there. I think the abstinence program's been good over the years. You can see that the last pregnant student we had was in 2015-16. And so it's, you know, the amount that the district pays is relative to the number of students the program serves. So we're at the minimum of $500, which I'm not sure why. Last year it seemed like the price was $1,500, and I think we had 0 cases last year too. So I guess it's a blessing, and we'll count it that they went down to $500. So when you combine the abstinence program and the pregnancy program together, we actually save probably $500 overall, so between the two. So I recommend that we approve this program. If we do have a pregnant student, they help this student, or you know, the parents per se, they help them take with childcare, they help them with life skills to help prepare them to take care of the baby, and they provide medical assistance to them. All that is included. So it's a really good program if we ever have a student in that situation. So I recommend that we approve this program for next year.
I'll motion to approve.
Second.
Kevin Kelly made a motion to approve the pregnancy education and parenting program services, seconded by Mark Harris. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Okay, we've already done action item E. So at this time, the board will go into closed session in accordance with Texas Governance Code, Chapter 551074 for personnel and attorney, and Chapter 551072 regarding property. The time now is 8:41. Do we need to take a short break before we go into closed session? Cody, we got to push the button.
No, I was just
Okay. Okay. Bye. Hello.
you did, like my wife, you let him get almost down.
I'm telling you, I'm sorry.
Come on.
Thought I had it right.
Rattle like blessed.
Okay, Mr. Carter, are we back online? Good?
He might not have got down there yet.
Got down there yet.
Walk fast, you want.
All right. At this time, we'll recognize that the board went into closed session at 8:41 PM and at 10:16 PM, we came out of closed session. At this time, we'll go to action item A under closed session. Review, approve, disapprove of probationary contract for the 2021 school year. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we need to name that out?
Do you need to put Ms. Johnson?
I'll make a motion to approve Ms. Johnson for the 2021 school year probationary teacher contract for Ms. Johnson, the 2021 school year.
Was there a second?
I'll second it.
Dakota Raspberry's made a motion to approve Kim Johnson to a probationary contract for the 2021 school year, seconded by Kevin Kelly. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show that it's 6-1 with Mark Harris voting against, the rest of the board members voting for. Okay, next we have action items B, review, approve, disapprove raises for principal of teaching and learning, and action item C is the same, review, approve, disapprove the raises for principal of student affairs. I think the board intended to act on contracts also tonight, and because of the contracts not being added to this, we're going to not take any action on either one of these at this time, and we're going to plan on doing that at the next board meeting so that we can put it in there together. So there will be no action taken on B and C. Anything else? If not, we need one more action item.
I'll second.
Chris made a motion to adjourn, seconded by Stormy. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you everyone for being here.